My name is John Healey, and I would normally like to welcome you all to our annual membership meeting in person, but we're going to have to do as we have to do. These are the new fashion normal. These we're going to have to wear to every performance that we have at the Weinberg Center. So go out, get yourselves a real good one. Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to get some Weinberg logos that we can sell as well. But let me give you a wrap-up of how our season went. Up until March 12th, it was going amazing. It was great. We were well on our way to almost 90,000 people to come in through our doors. As it was, we had 53,000 attendees. We had 32 sold out or nearly sold out performances. We had 172 volunteers who donated over 6,578 hours, just to give a rough guess. And your contribution makes a huge difference. We're going to get onto that a little more later. So this is how the season broke out as far as the budget is concerned. 13% of the funds came from the city, which includes our allocation. 43% of the budget was in ticket sales, 19% in rentals, which included some of the dance programs, and then 6% came from concessions, a lot to do with our new sippy cups. And then 19% came from donations. That's your support. Your support helps us offer more than 150 events on an annual basis. We present 7 diverse series of programming. We provide 8,000 plus school children with quality arts experiences. We even offer a pay-what-you-want opportunities to keep the arts affordable and accessible. We have many performance opportunities for emerging artists. We are also the showcase for the only Wurlitzer theater organ in the state of Maryland in its original installation, and we get to play it quite often. So how do we do this? Well, this year we added 86 new members to the Weinberg season, bringing us to a total of 1,179. We had over 40 businesses and organizations who provided generous sponsorship and funding. And look at some of the series that we had. We had the Frederick Speaker Series. Doris Kearns Goodwin was our fastest sellout of the season. Dr. Mae Jemison had over 1,000 in attendance. Now, because of COVID-19, our remaining speakers, P.G. O'Rourke and Michael Pollan's events, have been moved into 2021. Our live series. These sold-out performances cross the many genres of entertainment presented this season. Just look at it. We had the Russian Ballet Theater do Swan Lake. Then you had 1964, the Tribute, annual favorites. Then we had Louisiana sort of style music, J.J. Graham Mofro. We had Sinbad, who was very funny, got lost coming here, thinking he was going to Fredericksburg, not Frederick, but everything worked out in the end. And then, of course, we had a sold-out show for We Banjo 3 that had the house up on their feet, screaming and dancing. It was great. We even added a new film series, the Cinema Club, classic film series this year, through the generous sponsorship of Wonder Book and Video. Now, the Cinema Club's film series featured the highest attended film of the year with the family Christmas classic, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Happy hours before each movie, as well as our Flying Dog movie, featured a signature cocktail inspired by the film and free tastings provided by the 10th Ward Distilling. Our family series, Lightwire Theater, a very electric Christmas, sold out again this holiday season for the 3rd year in a row. Dogman the Musical was one of our fastest selling shows of the season and was a hit with kids and parents alike. We're bringing it back again in 2021 as part of our Smart Series for the Frederick County Public School kids. This series is sponsored by the Frederick Keys. They themselves are going kind of through some changes as well. So COVID-19. Following a state of emergency declared by the mayor of Frederick and the governor of Maryland, the theater closed its doors on Friday, March 13th. Now, Weinberg staff stayed on the job. But like so many others, we've shifted to working from home. Phones continue to be manned by our dedicated box office staff. I wanted our staff here to answer the phones so that when you called in, either to change the tickets for our many changing shows or to hopefully make a donation, there'd be a human voice on the phone to answer that. I thought that was important. Now, the remainder of the 2019 season was rescheduled or canceled in the following weeks or months. The biggest part of that, well, the biggest disappointment and all that, yeah, we had sold out shows with Lewis Black, The Meat Eaters, Straight No Chaser. But even though I kid about this quite a bit, about having all the sequins and the feathers and all the sparkles in our rugs and our seats for months after all the dance recitals, you have to stop and think that there are nearly 2,000 kids who didn't have the opportunity this year to get out on the stage in front of their friends and family and dance, to have that experience. I can't tell you the number of people that have come up to me over the years and have said, you know, I once was on that stage dancing in 24/7 or the Maryland Regional Ballet. We missed that this year, and I look forward to being able to host it again next year. So what did we do? Well, we had to do something, so we started our marquee contest. You know, in order to keep the people's spirits up, we started a social media contest looking for the best film quotes to inspire and entertain people during the lockdown. On April 2nd, Fox 5 journalist and videographer Van Applegate filmed the eerily empty streets of downtown Frederick with his final shot, panning to our marquee with the sun setting behind it and featuring the quote, "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light," from the character Dumbledore in Harry Potter. This spot that Mr. Applegate filmed ended up airing across the country, bringing natural attention to our theater. Another of our marquee film quotes went viral on social media. This quote from Wesley in The Princess Bride, "It's just that masks are terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future," was our biggest social media reach ever. Carrie Hughes, who played Wesley in the movie, shared the image of our marquee with his hundreds of thousands of followers who loved it and turned it into a viral sensation. Senior high school students, they lost out this year because they couldn't have their graduations at the regular ways. So we tried to do something by, over the course of the 2 weeks in June when the FCPS was holding its virtual graduation, each high school had a day of recognition on our marquee when the graduates could come down for a photo op in their cap and gown. The Intermission Project. During the lockdown, the Community Outreach Committee of the Weinberg Center for the Arts Board of Directors created a new initiative, the Intermission Project. This fund will provide free tickets to Weinberg Center events for the first responders, healthcare workers, frontline employees, and those who are struggling economically due to the COVID-19. Donations can be made at weinbergcenter.org/intermission project. Returning to the theater and what it might look like. We've already discussed our wonderful fashion option. The safety of our patrons and staff is our greatest priority. This year, we're going to go digital. We're going to be electronic. Our season brochure is going to be electronic, and the playbill will be electronic. So you just bring your phone in, even though I know I come out on stage and I say, please turn your phone off. We probably are going to have to make an exception this year. We're going to go into paperless ticketing so that you don't have to actually have a piece of paper and our volunteers don't have to touch paper. We're going to stagger your arrival times so that each one will be assigned with your ticket. That way we can social distance within the theater. The shows will probably have no intermission, so we don't have a chance to go out and have a drink, but we'll come in, do the show, sit, depending on what we're allowed to do, and then go home or go to a restaurant. and then of course the mask requirement. We are going to be cleaning our protocols for theater if we do happen to have a show where, for instance, we have 2 shows in one night. We will clean extensively in the bathrooms and hard surfaces between these performances. Okay, the whole reason you're here today watching me talk, a sneak peek into what we're going to be doing, hopefully, in 2021. First of all, the Frederick Speaker Series. We've got PGR Work coming back, Michael Pollan. We also have some other surprises happening. Our Family Series, a brand new show called Airplay by Acro Buffos. Great show. Paddington Bear gets into a jam. We've all read Paddington Bear. And then the Afrique en Cirque by the Cirque Calabante will bring their many talents to the Weinberg Center. And then, of course, our favorite light wire theater, A Very Electric Christmas, will be returning to the Weinberg Center if we're allowed to open up come Christmas time. Now, our Tivoli Discovery Series, Wilder, and also the Honey Dewdrops. Great couple. They now live in Baltimore. They're out of the Charlottesville area. They're going to kick off the whole thing. And the Rad Trads. Now, these are still scheduled for the fall, starting in September, October, November. We're hoping that we're going to be having some kind of seating, be allowed to do something. We don't know. It's all going to happen in terms of what we're allowed to do, what the CDC says we're allowed to do, what the state of Maryland says we're allowed to do. If we can't do the fall, we'll move them into 2021 and when we're finally allowed to safely reopen. Our live series, We Banjo 3, will be back. Cherish the Ladies will be here just before St. Patrick's Day to get you in the right mood. And then, if any of you are Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Rocky Bleier, The Play. It's a one-man show starring Mr. Bleier, in which he comes in and he tells about not only his football career, but his entire life growing up in Pittsburgh, and then, of course, serving in our military, and then returning to the field. Dave Mason, great musician, the Feelin' All Right tour, and then Meat Eater off the air. COVID-19. Okay. It's going to be a tough year. We made it through this year because of your support. And we actually made it and we balanced our budget. This year it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. But remember, the Tivoli Weinberg Center has faced tough times before. There was the Depression, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Then you had the advent of the mall cinemas come in that just, took away the business, and basically people didn't want to go to a big old movie theater anymore. Then you had the flood. Can you imagine coming in here 3 days after the downtown was flooded and seeing all the seats just covered in mud? I imagine there are a couple snakes in here too, for all it's worth, but just mud and trash. The organ was on its back on the stage. And yet they went on. You had the financial troubles in the 90s, in which, frankly, the Weinberg Center was having a hard time meeting its budget. And then in early 2000, the theater went through 6 executive theater managers in 5 years. Finally, the guy that they hired in 2006, when he arrived on the scene, there were newspaper articles stating how the board had hired the third choice because the first 2 turned it down. Could be. Well, that choice turned out pretty good, though. So my first concert here, as far as a difficult moment, was a Delbert McClinton concert in which I had nothing to do with it in terms of I was just here to hear it. And let me tell you, it was horrible. The sound sucked. That's about as graphic as I can get. And I had people screaming in my face about the sound. And I think I shocked some people, but I just said, yep, you're right, and we're gonna change it. Also, that wonderful concert, I remember standing out on our loading dock because the promoter of that concert hadn't read his contract very well, didn't have his certified check ready, and Mr. McClinton was not going to go on without having some kind of payment. So I sat out there on a telephone, talked to his agent, his wife, in Texas, I had our technical manager, Greg Davis, gather up all the cash we had in the building from concessions, and we gave it to him, and I said, on Monday morning, the money is in the bank, we're going to wire you the balance. At this time, as we're on the loading dock, I can hear the crowd starting to yell and scream because intermission is now going on pretty long. And fortunately for us, Mrs. McClinton talked Mr. McClinton in going on with the concert, so we didn't have all the seats being torn up. Okay, so then, great, this is 2006. 2008, after 2 years of planning, we're going to have a great party, and we're expecting that people are going to come in with their checkbooks, going to write and meet $1 million capital campaign, and we picked the date, November 8th, 2008, and during that day, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, the Wall Street crashed, and people came walking into that party having lost thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in paper dollars on the stock market. Great. But we made it past that, and the campaign was completed. Then again, we finally got the money to replace the HVAC. And as we started, of course, the first things that got torn out were stuff that were outside the theater, in terms of the boilers and the air compressors. And of course, after being told that there was no asbestos in the building, we found asbestos. So during the first part of the December, January of that season, we had no heat. So we had to get a giant heating system outside that ran on diesel fuel, or actually ran on gas. And then our theater looked like the Pompidou Museum over in Paris with these giant tubes coming in through the window. And right over on the stage left side was where we were pumping the heat. Fortunately, for the most part, it was a mild winter, so we were able to get by. The constant through all these crises was our community support. People were angry at times. People had a right to be angry at times, but people kept supporting the theater. Seasonal sponsor, corporate sponsors, Tivoli members. When I got here, we had 26 Tivoli members. We're up almost 150 now. So, and then individual memberships, anywhere from $5 up to $1,000. You are the reason that the Weinberg Center for the Arts is still going strong. And you are the reason that we are going to be able to make it through this year and the next year and the next and the next and the next. Faces may change, names may change, but the Weinberg Center for the Arts is going to remain a constant in the city of Frederick because of you. So I'm going to ask you, I know these are tough times. I know many people have lost their jobs. I feel bad for all the restaurants, all the employees, the bars. They're trying to come back. But I'm asking you this year, more than ever, please donate. Please give what you can. I don't care if it's $1, I don't care if it's $5, please, we're going to need it. Because I have to tell you, without ticket revenue, which you saw was 43% of our revenues, it's going to be a tough year. We're going to have to make cuts. We're going to have to make decisions. But we are going to remain because of you. That's all I'm going to yammer on today. Before you know it, you'll be in the seats behind me. I'll walk out on stage and I'll ramble on about adult beverages and going up and down Market and Patrick Street. And it'll almost be like old times. COVID-19 has hit us all. But instead of hanging our heads, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all of us to change. It's an opportunity to do things differently. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you very much. That's all I'm going to say today.